Hello, welcome to another realistic drawing shading tutorial that will improve your portraits and make it more realistic. Let's start with the outline. Everything starts with a perfect outline, but this time, instead of using grid method, I'm going to use, just basically grid method, but for just the actual face, the actual proportion of the face, just from the chin down to or up to the forehead, and then from the left cheek up to the place where the ear starts. We do not include the ear for this grid method. So essentially, this is just a grid for the actual face because it is just important. The most important thing here is the proportion of the face. We need to be able to locate where the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, the lips are. That's the most important in every realistic drawing. So I just divided this square, the face square, into 4 boxes. So I'm now starting with the box number 1 where the left eye is and the left eyebrows. So you can locate it into the box number 1 right here. The box number 1, I even divided it into 4 squares again to make the grid a little more accurate for this one. So I'm working on the first box right here where the half of the left eye or the right eye is. Now this is the second box where the remaining of the right eye, the right brow. Okay, so again, this is essentially a grid method but quicker. We don't need to use small grids and we don't need to put grids on the body part or the hair part, just the real face, just the face. That's the most important to be perfect in terms of outline. But this is just one way of outlining your drawing, and I find it a lot quicker compared to regular grid method. Okay, so by the way, for this one, I made it even easier by printing my reference on the actual size that I wanted my portrait to be. So the reference is the same size as the paper that I'm using, and I use a guide a while ago, a paper guide, just to locate the face position on the paper. So again, as you can see right here, we are just outlining the face, just the face, and we do not have to think too much about the hair or anything outside this box because this face that we are outlining will be our guide for the remainder of the drawing or the outline, or like the ear outside the box, the hair outside the head, the shoulders, the neck outside. Trust me, will be easier to outline after this because we are now more concerned about the features of the face. I know you understand that. It's the face, the location of everything inside the face is the most important thing, because if you misplace like even a little bit, the eyes or the mole, or the opening of the mouth, if you misplaced it a little lower, a little to the left or to the right or up, the drawing will not be successful. So again, this tutorial is going to be for a realistic shading, but everything will not be realistic if we don't have a good perfect outline. Now I'm trying to draw everything that is outside the box where the face is, because as you can see, we already have a good outline of the face, including all the features and the shadows. Now we are cleaning now and we are ready to shade. This is part 2, the actual shading process. Now it's important to put a base shade, and this time I'm using a light graphite pencil. This is this is the H pencil. You can use HB and the other light pencils just for the geometric outline. As you can see right there, when we put grid on the face, what I use is geometric outline. I don't use rounded, I just made the straight line for the outline of the different shapes of the face, including the shadows. Now I'm shading geometrically, using light pencil to be able to establish a geometric shadow or shade as a base tone for our drawing. So now we are On part 1 of the shading process, we are trying to put a geometric light base tone using a light pencil. This is an H graphite pencil. Okay, so it doesn't matter whatever strokes you can use, but I use a different shading strokes right here. It doesn't matter because we are going to blend or to brush or to use blenders here. So it doesn't matter as long as you are layering with very light pressure, okay, and try to observe the geometric shades or shapes of all the shadows. Now what I do is that because the shadows has different darkness to it or tone, what I do is I put a little bit more graphite on darker shadows and lighter shades on lighter shadows, like exactly what you are seeing right now. On the far side, left side of the face is where the concentration of the dark shadows. That's why I'm putting more graphite, although this is a light pencil. We are not yet using dark pencil. Okay, because what we are trying to achieve here is a layered skin tone. We don't want to directly use dark pencils on the skin. We want to be able to establish our shadows with a base tone. It's important for the depth that we are trying to achieve for our drawing, because realism, the first requirement with realism is to be able to achieve correct tonal values of your drawing. It means that you need to be able to achieve the tone of the dark, the mid, and the light shadows. So it's important that there are varieties of tones aside, instead of just a monotone drawing which is going to be flat. Okay, now I'm using a soft tissue to blend my base tone. So this is what I'm talking about a while ago, that you don't need to just use crisscross technique or whatever. Just try to layer with sharp pencil and try to achieve just a nice smooth layering, because this is just the base tone. Now we are trying to achieve, this is now another trick that I want to share with you, because graphite, no matter how dark the pencil is, like a 14B, it couldn't really darken as much. That's why I'm using the help of a charcoal pencil. This is my favorite charcoal pencil. If you can have your hand on this pencil, it's going to be an amazing addition to your portraits. This is the 2B General's charcoal pencil. Only for the parts, as you can see there, the eyeballs, the nostrils, and the opening of the mouth, and a little bit into the eyebrows, because these are very dark. And I might use charcoal on the hair as well. But for all the skin, from the entire face up to the body part, I'm gonna use graphite pencil, which is what I'm doing right now. So after the base tone, I'm now adding a darker graphite. This is the 3B graphite pencil, because this is like a black woman, so I decided to use 3B instead of B for lighter skin tone. Okay, 3B for my second layer. Again, layering technique is the key for realistic shading. Improve your shading through layering. Okay, that's the mistake of beginners. They just get an 8B and right away try to layer, and the graphite will shine and it will not look good. So to avoid all these problems, do a layering technique. Achieve your tonal values through layering. Do not immediately go onto your dark pencil and just shade. Okay, so this is what I'm doing right now. This is my second shading layer, which is the 3B graphite pencil. And what I do is I layer and then I brush. I layer, then I brush to blend. And another tip, use a makeup brush. This is a real makeup brush. So don't be shy. Go to your cosmetic shops right now and buy their makeup brushes for blush on or for whatever, because they are soft but very dense. Okay, so now I'm still layering after the base tone. As you can see right here, I'm layering with a 3B above our light base tone, and then I'm blending it very lightly. Again, the layering should be with lesser pressure. If you want to achieve a darker tone, you can apply a little bit more pressure, but not too hard, because the graphite will eventually shine and it will not look good. Again, I'm using the charcoal, this orange pencil. This is the 2B charcoal pencil, only for the dark shadows, because I want to achieve a more contrasty portrait to make it more realistic. That's why, yes, for those who are asking if you can combine graphite with charcoal, you can, but in my case, I'm only using it to achieve super dark values that the graphite cannot achieve. Okay, so again, I'm continuing with my graphite 3B. graphite rather. Okay, now actually I'm now adding more darkness or more values with my third layer. This is the third layer. I'm using a 6B graphite pencil to intensify the, what do you call it, the contrast, more contrast of the drawing. So you may ask, why do we need to have more layers with our drawing? I think you just have to observe right now the behavior of all the shadows, the tonal values, because there are some shadows in the face that are a lot darker than the 3B that we put a while ago, and that is what the 6B graphite is doing right now. Now this is optional because as you can see, we already finished, almost finished, but I decided to put texture on the drawing. I decided to put the pores because I can see it on my reference photo, and yeah, using 3B and 6B graphite pencils, I patiently using a dotted technique or pointillism for the skin textures or skin pores. But you have to be careful because it might look like a blemish on the skin if you overdo it. So just do it very lightly and just do it very gently. And and then I use this one. This is the Kohinoor pencil eraser. I love it because you can sharpen it to a point where you can use it to highlight the pores or the skin texture. So this is again how to improve your shading. Again, we started with a good outline, with a perfect outline, just the face, because we don't want to consume a lot of time, because outline is a part of the realistic process, but the actual shading is what really matters for a drawing. Okay, so like what I said a while ago, I'm gonna be using a charcoal pencil for the hair because it's very dark. This is like an African woman, I guess, so we need to use charcoal. I think this is the 4B of the generous charcoal. This is just a base tone. This is how you do hair. Even the hair, I use geometric shading. Okay, and then I blend it. And then I use this is a very good tool. Try to buy this sponge blender. Okay, now for my second layer, I use the 6B to even darkens the darkest part or shadows of the hair right there. So this is the 6B second layer for the hair, and then I'm gonna blend it again using makeup brush. As you can see, everything is really nice and smooth. This is what I love about generous charcoal pencil. This is very nice. And now the blender will lighten some highlighted part of the hair. This is again the sponge blender, and then the pencil eraser again to erase for the details or the white strands or details of the hair. And it immediately, in a short period of time, I was able to draw the hair. What a nice technique that is, to combine graphite with charcoal on some parts. Okay, so this is the value of layering in terms of shading, realistic face portrait. Yeah, so now I'm just trying to finish it up with some details right here, and then I'm gonna finally blend it with a little bit of blending, and then I'm signing it right now because look at this. This is very nice.